Guys, welcome to the podcast.
Baptism by fire, as they say.
Well, I know a 65-year-old person in Pakistan who just bought Tesla using Trust Wallet.
What's really become clear to us is that a one-size-fits-all just doesn't exist.
It's not something new. It's just like we have now created an AI-powered layer which allows us to move faster.
Your product should be that amazing that you don't need to put a brand on it. I recently heard Elon Musk talking about it, so like appropriate to use that here.
You could take any asset and you could, tokenization is a line of code.
5 lines of code basically, yeah.
You could put up a compliance structure around it and you could say, hey, this is a tokenized product.
We are not a DIY kind of a business. You don't do it yourself. You can do it with a Lego set, but not with creating an on-chain business.
We're truly filling a need, not just on the supply side, which for us is investment opportunities like Beehive, etc. Would you guess how many accounts are open across Nubank and Revolut alone? 200 million in total. That's a big number.
This is my message to every fintech who's touching payments or investments in one way or the other. ZM everyone, welcome to the new episode of Access Granted. And today I have with me a very two important guest who are not unknown to all of you, but well, I just thought that since the ZIGChain summit is done, let's invite them and have a chat about what's happened there and what to look after in the future. Ahmed, all know Ahmed very well. He leads the strategy and the business development for the ZIGChain. And with us, Philipp. He's very familiar face for the community now, but he has joined us a few months ago. He'll tell you about his background shortly. Ahmed leads the institutional business development for ZIGChain, especially in the MENA region as well. Guys, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's a pleasure just, coming off a great experience at the ZIGChain summit. I believe every year it just gets better and better. And I think without a doubt, this one was like the best that there has ever been.
Yeah, Philipp, it was your properly first time being in a room with a community and institution.
Baptism by fire, as they say. So,
how was your experience?
Interesting times. No, it was fantastic. Obviously, the lead up to the event was interesting to say the least. But I'm pretty glad we stood strong, kind of committed to what we had planned to do, and I think the outcome actually spoke for itself.
Yeah, so, no, I think because everyone knows that we planned this summit for the last 3 years now around token, and when token got cancelled, there was a lot of pushback, and it was natural pushback, right? Everyone expected that we just like everyone else, we're gonna go stay out of it. But I think this is why we drive a lot of excitement from the community and from our partners and from our our team members and everyone, that everyone stood behind this, and it was great to see thousands of people coming in. Institution, LPs, everything. Obviously, there's a lot of work that went into it. Philipp, Ahmed, and then our team members like Mustafa and everyone else. They did fantastic work. And alhamdulillah, very happy to see the outcome. And it's super exciting, as Ahmed said, that every year it gets bigger.
It gets better and better. And I think what you were just saying about having conviction, I think this is like the law of nature. If you have conviction on things and you persevere, you will see that the world sort of, comes and gives back that energy at you.
Yeah.
And like the kind of response that we've had this year, pre-summit, on the day of the summit, post, it's just been incredible.
Absolutely. And I think we had great participation. Obviously, community was there. We saw the general participation from the fintech, banking, fund management, and investment management field. But on top of it, we had like great speakers, like from the top organizations, not only from the region, from the world as well, and it was fantastic to see. And obviously a lot of things were announced, showcased, everything. But for me, the two key themes that set out, which I think something that community and everyone else were looking after, it's something that came out of a feedback as well, and we'll talk about it. But I believe that us going out as EVM compatible and us going with ZIG Markets, I think these are the two key themes. So and obviously people ask questions, and I think let's try and cover those things. Let's talk about EVM compatibility first from both of you, maybe for a couple of minutes. That why you think it's important, Why did we decide that we're going to do it?
Yeah, so I think there was always this thought process that we would love to create this blockchain with this idea that we do not want to be isolated or closed for business for any kind of stakeholder, whether that be a developer or an institution. And I think that over the past 2 years, what we've seen is an increasing shift towards institutional adoption of the blockchain space. And it seems that EVM is the clear winner in that race. You go and speak to any institution, whether in Europe, the US, or in this part of the world, that is MENA, you will see that increasingly institutions are familiar and trusting, both the trusting of the EVM stack. And I think it was like a natural progression for us. We always thought that we would ultimately do that. But given the fact that the adoption curve has been so exponential,
Absolutely.
It only made sense for us to
do
fast
it
track on that.
faster than anything else that we work on, basically.
So I think it's very much demand-led. It was always there in the back of the mind, but good to see that we're now actively acting upon it and going forward.
And Philipp, I think from the background that you come from, I think it helped us getting this validation from the institutions out there that this is the way to go. So maybe if you can shed some light on it, that what was your initial, carry around it?
Look, I think at the end of the day, blockchain and tokenization specifically delivers certain values to the stakeholders in the ecosystem, right? And the composability of traditionally kind of like stagnant assets is one of these things. Reaching new liquidity pools and distribution into areas that before weren't possible. This is the value proposition being sold to institutions and anyone else who's participating, right? But if you're kind of constraining yourself in your own, microcosm of an ecosystem, access to all liquidity pools just simply isn't possible, right? So us kind of interacting with all the liquidity pools in the market is an essential, a must-have, I think. And only then we're looking at like a market size that's even interesting to talk about for institutions in the first place.
Right. No, I think it's absolutely makes sense. And I think this is why, from a leadership perspective and from the broader perspective, one of our successes, the reason of success and one of the reasons that we survived, let's say, in the market where projects just don't survive for such a long period of time, is our agility towards the changing environment. And I think it's our agility towards listening the feedback internally and externally as well. And I think that came as a very strong. And I think the second part, which has always been on top of our mind, that, and there's something that is not that we are talking about today. It's been literally out there for almost a decade now, that why yield or why access to investment opportunities should be limited, to a few people. And then when you when you look at the tokenization broadly, and then you realize that unfortunately 99% of the players around tokenization, they're going down the same route where they're just pleasing the same set of elites and the institutions and the banks, where they are tokenizing for the sake of it in terms of, just creating efficiency in the same flow and practically not making things easy for, the end user. A couple of players are obviously doing really well. Like, for example, I really appreciate Ondo. You can say whatever, but the reality that people in emerging markets now are able to buy exposure into the US stocks, that's like a dream come true. I come from emerging market, like I come from Pakistan, right? And I can tell you that's not a small thing. People sitting outside in the Western world, they might not see it that way, but it's a reality. And this is where I think over the you can say the thought process of 8 to 10 years now coming in a conclusion or coming in evolution through ZIG Markets. And again, it's not like as we mentioned even at the summit as well. It's not a product, it's not a new service, it's nothing like that, but it's a layer that we started developing. We started talking about that, okay, we have always thought that how we take destiny in our hand. This was one of the reasons that we created ZIGChain in first place, that Zignally wanted to go DeFi, but we thought that how we create an environment where we can curate things the way we want. This is where ZIGChain came in. And now ZIG Markets, because then we also want to make sure that all these institutional grade investment opportunities, when they go on chain, they go it in a way that the access is again just not limited to the people who already have it, but in a cheaper way. That's not the goal. The goal here is that how we make sure that yes, we do capture the institutional flows, absolutely, and the presence of institutions in our room was a kind of a testament to that. But making sure that the same access in the same way is available to everyone around the world, regardless of where they are, how much money that they have, what is their knowledge count. That is the true vision. And this is where ZIG Markets came. This is why we are saying that, we're going to go out, we're going to make sure that by using the power of AI, we will make sure that we capture those flows and we turn into it. Obviously, both of you, over the last few months been part of it. And obviously we just went out with it, but the reality is that it's an active pipeline. Things are already happening. Some partnerships are already announced. It's there already. So maybe shed some light, maybe starting with you, Ahmed, and then maybe Philipp, you, that what was your evolutionary experience around it, how things came by, and how come now it looks like a very natural thing to do?
I think that we have always, so it's not something new. We've always been talking about how our approach to building the ecosystem is different from what is already out there. We have a clear idea of the kind of things that we want on chain. And we also have a clear idea in terms of who are we doing this for. And it's but while doing that, it's important to continue to adapt and to continue to learn from things that are happening around you. And it was very clear as day that there are the kind of ICP that we are going after. If you're trying to bring yield on chain, or if we're trying to bring investment opportunities on chain, it's going to be supremely important for us to essentially work with these kind of institutions who want that last mile infrastructure to go on chain. And ZIG Markets is essentially that. It's not something new. It's just we have now created an AI-assisted or AI-powered layer, which allows us to move faster to bring these institutions, fund managers, strategies, yield opportunities on chain, and then to the ability to package them in a way where they're accessible by a broader set of people across ecosystems. Yeah. But more importantly, we're not then trying to recreate the loop around liquidity as well, what you were mentioning. So I'm very excited by that. I think this is something that, from a mile out, it might seem that, okay, this is something new. But this is something that we have been talking about ever since day one.
Absolutely.
That we would love to see how we can provide regulatory pathways to people. We want to see how we can ease the tech burden on them, how we can help enable distribution for them, for people who want access to opportunities. How can we connect them with sourcing? So I think we find ourselves in a beautiful spot where people on both sides of the divide want to work with us. Yeah. And people, we sort of understand both parts of both of these worlds. And I think, ZIG Markets really gives us that one-stop shop.
Yeah.
To really connect all of this together.
And you touched upon the AI, we'll go into there, but Philipp, you and I, for example, we were in Cannes before and other places. Let's touch base a little bit around the problem at hand. Why do we need this? What is the problem?
What's really become clear to us is that a one-size-fits-all just doesn't exist, right? And naturally so. I think it doesn't really take a rocket scientist to really understand that part, but the industry, and particularly some of the players within that space, they struggle because all of the solutions are fairly fragmented and actually targeted and geared towards a certain ICP set, target audience, or what have you. I mean, I think that was great for experimentation stage, right? I think what DeFi has proven over the last couple of years is that we now have the technology to do some really, really interesting stuff with traditional financial structures, instruments, etc., which institutions are getting excited about now, right? So the question is no longer, hey, should we check this out? Should we do some stuff and explore? Yeah. It's on everyone's agenda. I think the last stat that I saw was sitting at around 75 or 80% of readiness of institutions adopting blockchain technology into their stacks. I mean, some guys are doing it from an operational efficiency point of view, and this is why I guess the cantons of the world, etc.
Like Franklin Templeton is doing, like their back-end fund ops is 70% on blockchain.
And
That's
they're
the
doing a
efficiency
great
perspective.
job, right?
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
there's definitely like an efficiency gain to be had, and that's great, but that's not really where we come in, right? Where we look at is, kind of like at distribution, at structuring, and these sort of things. And it was just shocking to see how many of these fairly large players actually work in completely unregulated structures, right? And ultimately, whilst we have all of this industry jargon of what we call things, these are people handling other people's money, investing that into assets that should be regulated. So I think this is one of the biggest deterrents that we've been seeing from institutions, which actually prevent them from participating in the space altogether. And it's really a shame, right?
Absolutely.
If we're just talking about a regulatory and a compliance framework to get some of the big institutional proven track record products into the market and some of the volumes, then why are we not looking at that? And I guess this is sort of what we're trying to solve
Absolutely.
a little bit.
And I think also important to understand that, the being regulated and compliant can always be mistaken as permissioned as well. But that's not the case. There are two scenarios here, right? And blockchain also serves two purposes. It serves the purpose for the larger institutions in terms of transparency, cost efficiency, faster move of money, and most importantly, composability as well.
Yeah.
But for the masses, 99% of the world, it's the excess part, right? The way we think about it is that, that it's just not this that, we are just creating regulatory wrappers in the name of tokenization. It's really not that. Like this is one example, and we recently talked about it on different channels as well, that if you look at it as an example here, take three ecosystem partners that we have. For example, let's take on the one hand, you have Taurus, on one hand you have Veldora, and on the other hand, let's say you have a combination of Finance and Beehive. What's really happening here is that, for example, Beehive has been in that business for a decade now, where they are providing SME lending to SMEs through crowdfunding, and the minimum for the investment is $25,000. The yields are 10 to 11%. Non-performing loan is less than 2%. I mean, that's freaking amazing. That's like better than a bank doing it, and they are using all the amazing credit writing skill set and everything at the back end. Now, what we have done is something very interesting. What we have done is that we have tokenized that bet for them. And this is something that ZIG Market has done. I mean, you don't label it like ZIG Market that way, but this is what really we have done. Your product should be that amazing that you don't need to put a brand on it. I recently heard Elon Musk talking about it, so like appropriate to use that here. But, that's exactly that. That what happened here is that you take the tokenized product, and then you have two pathways. One is the Taurus pathway, with which you are connecting this thing to the whole regulated market across neobanks and banks and financial institutions, hundreds of them. That's one part. And on the other part, what do you have? You have a regulated regime under your own self, which you have been using under Signally for the last 8 to 9 years. You use that to make it accessible to the masses in a permissionless environment through the protocols like Veldora, through protocol like Nava Finance, and for others as well. This is where the true concept comes in of APIs as APIs as APIs. That you are practically telling the world that come build, just work with us. Yeah. We'll give you a single API. And for them as well, it's solving a lot of things, like what it's solving for is that I know how to onboard customers, like that protocol knows how to onboard customers. All they need is a safe, secure environment at the back. So even from a permissionless environment perspective, those users, they know that the custody and the management of these funds, although they have reference tokens and economic benefit tokens of these securities or structures, but what they really know is at the back end it's regulated. And this is how you create this beautiful segue that you are catering to both the markets by doing the right thing.
Exactly. And I think that also like sort of speaks to the structural inefficiencies that you see across blockchain today. I mean, you have like $300 billion plus of stable coins, but then, there is a dearth of good assets to put that money into. And I think that, what we're trying to do with like just the example that you shared and some of the other things that we cannot talk about just yet, I believe we're going to have like all of these beautiful opportunities available for all kinds of audiences. And I think that is really the answer to DeFi as we know it today, and really suffering from that lack of yield. Also, I think that this from a venture perspective, this is very interesting because all of a sudden what you're saying is that, hey, there is no friction now for you to bring anything on chain.
Yep.
Tech is rapidly becoming commoditized in the age of AI. And essentially, teams that are able to really have solid GTMs, they can really plug and play and take this, and they can actually experiment. So you could fail, but you could fail fast. You could succeed, and you could succeed faster. And I think really what really excites me about ZIG Markets as a whole is really this posture, because we're now giving people the platform to, whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're sourcing yield, or whether you're distributing yield, all of them to get connected and not really be not be daunted by the complexity of, hey, there is a blockchain.
And then, like, this is what we see. Like, people ask us, there are 5,000 blockchains out there practically, and launching a blockchain from your cell phone, you can launch a blockchain in 15 minutes right now with running nodes, No offense, but technology has become commoditized, Like, very soon you will not have all these big companies verifying your smart contracts, because you will be doing through AI, and you can do it yourself. A lot of blockchains, and where we stand, and this is our differentiation, this is our best go-to market that you can think about, that, and this is how the chain will scale, that every blockchain, they stops at either the technology at max the investments. So we have ZIGChain as a foundation. We have ZIG Labs as an investment arm where we co-invest with a lot of other VCs, and we have done it a lot. But this is where I think our true differentiation comes in, where we actually go all hands in and heads on, basically to take the problem statement and kind of restructure it, right? And as Ahmed, you mentioned that, regardless of which side of the square you're sitting in, we have something for you. And then this is where, like, this differentiation comes in under the ZIG as a house of brand, we call it, right? You have a blockchain, you have an investment arm, and where you also have like some very nice incubation activities happening. And then you have markets, where you are practically saying that all our proprietary stuff that we have created in the last 10 years, here you go. And then obviously there's a commercial engine into it. It's super exciting. But Philipp, let me ask you that, because you've been part of these conversations a lot recently. How does it look like? Let's say if someone is an institution, how does it look like for them? Where does this conversation change from just being a blockchain to being something more than that?
Okay, so let me maybe touch on the Beehive example as well, again, because I think the story is kind of beautiful for us. Not only have you been involved with them for a long time, I also have. So this is actually the first company I interacted with since I moved to Dubai. What I really liked about their journey and the relevance to what we're doing is the fact that they set off to fill a funding gap that clearly existed in the SME sector in the UAE, right? There's actually a $250 billion US funding gap across the entire region, which is massive, because SMEs are under-catered for by the traditional banking system. So they set off, launched a peer-to-peer lending platform. Essentially, it's based on a similar logic to what's happening in the DeFi space, right? Put a product out there to help someone, right? So whether that's staking towards a protocol or whatever the DeFi position does, and pool money from people who believe in the protocol, right? And this is what they were doing in a very Web 2 way, starting in 2012. So the idea was to pool cash from individual investors and then lend that out to businesses. Obviously, the UAE is a fairly small market, right? So the kind of consumer volume that you can drive is fairly limited. So they had to take the next step in order to keep on growing and get direct investments from big institutions, okay? As they were kind of expanding their footprint beyond the UAE into Saudi Arabia, Oman, wherever they're operating, obviously with that quantum of demand, they need to also have quantum of supply on the debt side. Now, even that seems to be saturated, right? And what we've got to offer, which is really built around customer demands, right? From a distribution, regulatory perspective, that is enabling them to even reach further, to distribute their product beyond kind of the confined spaces that they had access to previously. And that means we can tap into DeFi liquidity, we can tap into all sorts of liquidity pools that we seem to find suitable for that type of investment product.
Yeah.
And I'm keeping it pretty vague, and then that's intentional, because ultimately what we're able to do with ZIG Markets is to custom tailor solutions around our institutional partners' needs, right? So whether that's from some of the big anchor LPs that we're in conversations with, because they have their own compliance and regulatory requirements, which we can easily cater for on one hand, partly with AI, partly with our regulatory stack. And then on the issuer side, we can also cater for them. The issuers have all different sets of various licenses, which allow them to do various activities. We have to build around that.
Yeah.
We cannot be arrogant and
Absolutely.
just believe that because we've invented this new system, everyone needs to adjust to our ways of working. And actually, it is the opposite, right?
Absolutely.
And this is a conversation that we see unfold over and over again with pretty much any institutional player that we're talking to.
Absolutely. And like you touched upon the AI again, and we'll definitely give Ahmed a great chance to explain what he has been doing with it. But before that, I just want to make it like super clear that in a very, very short and a crisp way, what is ZIG Markets? ZIG Markets is basically a layer that makes sure that the investment opportunities are available to everyone, including institutions and including retail alike, in a fair manner everywhere in the world. That's it. This is a way of us bringing this vision to life, and it's already happening.
And this is not just a big financial opportunity, right?
Yeah.
But it's also driving a lot of impact.
Absolutely.
Just how Beehive was driving impact in GDP diversification agendas.
Absolutely.
We are giving investment access to, the people in Pakistan, for example, who up to 3 years ago didn't even have access to any digital banking means, right?
Absolutely.
I remember in 2021 or 2020, I think a proportion of total transaction volume that was actually done online, so online transaction, was only sitting at around 17%. Now we're looking at around 75%, right? Leaps of development have happened with the introductions of wallets, etc. But these guys don't have anywhere to invest their money, right?
And absolutely,
this is what we can cater for.
Emerging markets, have this problem. I keep repeating the same example. When I was 19 years old, I think, when the first financial crisis came in the world, 2007, 2008. And I wanted to buy all the stocks that were like literally bottom floor, And I tried to buy, and my father was a very reputed banker in Pakistan at that time. He told me that, son, I've been trying for some time. There is no legal way to do so. And trust me, that is still difficult today. But it seems like it's changing fast. Players like Facet coming in, players like Abhi Finance are also coming in. And now you see Binance, it's doing like great job there. And then through the Trust Wallet and all those things, even Ondo stocks are available. I know a 65-year-old person in Pakistan who just bought Tesla using Trust Wallet. Like, isn't it amazing?
And does he care about Trust Wallet? No, right?
He does
cares
not care about Trust Wallet.
access
Exactly.
to the particular
Exactly.
product.
He cared about Tesla. That his exposure. He does not care about, let me put it this way. He does not even care about the fact that this is not an actual security. He knows that he's not going to get dividend. He knows that he will not be able to vote in like some general assembly. What he cares about is that Tesla will become a whatever, and I want that exposure because he missed out on Nvidia, for example, like just as an example, right? So and that's where this, just wanted to further clarify that, it's there. And what is in it for the community? Like, people ask us this. Like, this is the question that keeps coming, that someone asked me, at the summit, once we were done and came down, someone very, very senior and extremely respectable to me, he asked me 2 questions. He said, 1, what does it mean for everyone? But he said that we got the answer, of course, the access. Number 2, what does it do for your token holders? And I said that maybe I didn't make it clear up at this stage, but let me make it clear for you now, that when the ecosystem grows, when the blockchain becomes adopted, this is where the value accrues. And the value accrue in multiple ways. Value accrue by the way of more activity, but then value also accrue in a way of a revenue looping. That will happen. There will be a revenue switch for sure. We'll talk about it, but I think this is something that's very important to share as well, that eventually at a scale, I think what would differentiate one blockchain with the other or one big protocol with the other, especially who wants to keep the community and the token scene alive, revenue looping has to happen. But more on that later. Ahmed, let's talk about the AI part.
Yeah.
What did you do, sir?
Okay, so well, AI. Anytime you see, and I think this space has seen a lot of that being mentioned. It's to the extent that to a lot of people now think that anything in this space which has to do with AI is probably scammy.
Yep.
So we
that's true.
So we had to be like, we had to take like be very careful in terms of trying to understand, okay, if we are going to go out and say that this is what we're doing or this is how we're using AI, it has to be meaningful and it has to actually translate into actual outcomes. So one of the things that we found broadly in our approach when speaking with institutions or speaking with distributors or even speaking with some of the ecosystem that we have was that there is like so much context which becomes fragmented, and you're really sometimes struggling to find ways for all of that knowledge base to be readily available so that you can start moving quickly. You're wasting too much time on coordination, you're wasting too much time on alignment loops. And what we thought was that, okay, we have like this decade-long history of being in the industry. Over the past 2 to 3 years, we've been really working a lot with institutions. We have a great partner network. We have all of this knowledge base, but this is fragmented. And how can we really create an engine which allows us to structure solutions for anyone who wants to interact with us so that, hey, how can we start shipping things faster? And this is what the AI-powered ZIG Markets engine is, whereby all of that knowledge and that knowledge keeps compounding. Every time you go on another meeting, every time you go on an event, you have new leads. Anytime the external environment changes, like a new regulation comes, or you sign up a new partner, all of that information keeps getting added to the brain. You go on a call with someone, and within 1 hour of that call, you're able to go back to them with a structured proposal, bespoke, just for them. And I think, that is like the beauty of this. If really harking back to my investment banking days, if I were to, create a bespoke proposal for someone, it would take anywhere between 8 to 12 weeks. Because there's like just so much alignment
and involving maybe 15, 20 people.
Exactly, but with this, we're able to go back to institutions, go back to operators within the hour, with something bespoke, and we believe that really making that process faster is going to help us ship faster, move faster, and really bring really execute on our mission faster as well.
Yeah, Philipp, let me ask you, like, maybe there are a lot of names that we cannot take, but let's talk about themes. What kind of institutions and the deal structure are we talking about going next?
Look, I mean, I don't know whether we found this opportunity or whether the opportunities found us. We've been really busy in the private credit space.
Divine.
Yeah, very
It's
busy.
divine.
It's divine intervention,
It's sort of a blessing, to be honest. Not only is private credit from the region very unique, but just private credit in general is just the best type of product to be working with at our stage. So we've got various private credit institutions that we're speaking to, various big LPs as well that are interested in this. We were very close with a lot of the big DeFi players as well. So whether that's some of the lending protocols, some of the big curators that are operational, etc. So, we're really structuring ourselves as someone who's connected to everyone. And I think this is the power that we're able to bring to the market, both for institutions as well as for DeFi market participants.
Yeah, absolutely. Ahmed, since you have been on these summits for last 3 years now, tell us a little bit in terms of the evolution of conversations in last 3 years. Like, how was it in 24 when you just joined?
Yeah.
And in 25, and this year, you were kind of running the show, I should not say it out loud, but yeah, you were kind of running the show, right? So you wanted to put on a show, and alhamdulillah, you did so, right? I mean, everyone contributed, of course, but what the difference you feel?
So I think that 24, we were still in that stage where we were just putting out the vision. We wanted to go and launch a blockchain. This is what we wanted to do. And I think, and even at that point in time, we had like great support. But broadly, let me put it this way, we were like very unproven, although we came from a lot of history. But really the idea about the blockchain was still unproven. It was the hottest narrative back then. Everyone was launching their own layer one. And I think part of being unproven at that point in time was, okay, what are you going to do that is going to be different? Last year was amazing in the sense that we had like this outpour of people that showed up from all walks of life. And we had like all of these great announcements of things that are coming. And I think what's really changed here this year is that we did not talk about things that are coming at all. We just talked about all of the things that are already there. And I think if you look at it in progression, from vision to it's coming, and that belief starts to build up to the fact that, okay, these things are already here.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this is what makes us super exciting, right? That it was a catwalk.
Exactly.
Summit was a catwalk.
Exactly.
Catwalk of, primitives converting into products.
Yeah.
The fintechs converting into on-chain products. Like, think about it. Where was Oro last year?
Nowhere.
Just an idea.
Yeah.
The team has outdone themselves by coming up with this beautiful AI product.
Exactly.
Great product, right? I mean, everyone is talking about it. People are so excited. Look at what Veldora has done.
And like Nava, I mean, I would like.
I know you're already putting in money already.
I saw the branding and I was like,
Exactly. Like, I mean, look at these people like Zakaria and Amirush from Nava. Look
Amazing.
at what Veldora has. Veldora could have done like this, that, we have created a liquid staking for ZIG and khalas. Let's go to the next one. No, they realized 6 months ago what Vault's going to do to the world, and they changed it. This is so phenomenal. I mean, it's not only us who gets excited, like we saw it in live, in person, and like, it was so funny that the after the Veldora's presentation, for example, they came down and, they were in the VIP area, and like VCs were going towards them. Okay, when do we put money in you and how do we put money in you? That was very interesting. And then like, this was one part of it. There is something else that we always wanted. We said that, we're going to bring the larger businesses on chain. And it's not that we gonna do it. Like, look at this. You had Beehive, Abhi, InvoiceMate, Facet, Fuse, which am I forgetting? I think, and then the two new ones, the MSS and the Token Bazaar and Zamanat.
Yeah.
I mean, this is not a joke.
No,
and they have all come in and not said that we will do that. Most of them were like, we are doing it.
Exactly.
Because most of them are actually established brands.
Exactly.
And
the funny stuff is, and I think all three of us have been like having this go at with Ross. Like so many of the things we had to defer for after the summit because the pipelines are real, the pipelines are bursting. And
absolutely, it's a good problem to have, but like, yeah, shit, man, that was like a headache, because we wanted to, and then we had pushback from partners, like some of the really big partners who wanted to take the stage. Well, one of them did, but did not announce anything. But the point was that they wanted to, but they couldn't have because we were like, listen, we cannot do justice to it like this. And this is one of the reasons that some of them we actually did before the summit, like Beehive, like the launch of the Taurus thing. And even the Veldora people realized this, that they should do it in advance and at least have something out there because it becomes a comms nightmare. But this is great. Like, this...
good problems to have.
It's a good problem to have. And I think what it again really proves that on one hand, you had someone like, very institutional in nature, let's say Taurus on one hand. But on the other hand, you had Veldora or Nava or Oro, which are so retail oriented. So you had the enterprise level. And this is what brings me to this thought. How are we different? Like, tokenization has been the key theme for 4 years maybe. But what is it different now? Philipp, maybe you tell us, like, what do you think is different now with all this in mind? Do you think that this is defensible enough? Do you think that this is what makes us different?
Look, I think a couple of years ago, 2025, 2024, the market was proving whether tokenization is possible in a meaningful way, whether people would be interested in it. So it was a solution trying to find a problem, right? They were finding use cases. It's actually the biggest problem within the Web3 or blockchain industry in general. They always go product first. And I think what we're trying to do is slightly different, to turn it upside down, to bring it back to business basics, which has been really well received by the market so far, where we're trying to identify clear problems for the different stakeholders that we're catering for, and then we structure the solutions around that, right? So, and I think, this is, I think, where our proposition is super defensible. A, we're structuring solutions around the needs of our ICPs. B, we're doing that in a compliant way, and we've got a regulatory stack, or at least access to it, which allows us to structure something meaningful, something solid, that regulated players like Beehive, some of the institutional LPs that we're speaking to as well, that they find comfort in. So whilst it obviously delivers, it's experimentation for them to see how much business value we can actually generate. They're doing this in a confined, controlled environment, which currently hasn't been catered for in the market. So, I think tokenization is not coming, like it is here. I mean, we saw that in ETHCC as we were there.
Absolutely.
I mean, which big asset manager wasn't there?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Fidelity, Morgan Stanley, Franklin Templeton, our friend Victor, from Hamilton Lane. Absolutely. And this is what I say, if you're an institution, and even tokenization, let's say, is a buzzword, if you think that on-chain is the next default, and you should be thinking, I think that if as an organization, you're not thinking that, then you will become a dinosaur soon. Take example of Standard Chartered. I used to work there 10, 11 years ago, right? And when I look back and I meet those people and I, talk to Bill Winters or Alex Manson and all, man, I get I was shocked when I reconnected with Alex some months ago, that the bank has changed on his head. Obviously, it's a large organization. There's a lot of inertia and there's a debt around the technology and everything. But they have actually, so they used to be like this. Okay, we have enterprise revenue, we have commercial retail revenue, and now they have created this third revenue, which is venture revenue. And this whole venture, SC Ventures, is just about digital assets.
That's amazing. Yeah.
This is so amazing. If you look at Goldman Sachs, I met them in London recently. They have put in so much effort behind it, and that institutions are realizing. And I tell everyone, listen, it's not only that you have to be a bank or something. Again, Beehive and Abhi and InvoiceMate and Facet and Fuse and all of them are great examples. What did they do? What did they essentially do to be relevant? They did not wait for the absolute regulatory clarity. They know that you have to move around and find out kind of a thing, number one. Number two, they tried with one asset class. They said, okay, let's pick one asset class. But the third and the most important thing that they did, they talked to us. They talk to us. Absolutely. It's the truth. I mean, not going to be arrogant or cocky around it, but it's a reality. They talk to us.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's not us saying it. They said it in front of the whole world, that it's us whom they started with. Who are we? We are a very small blockchain, very new. Why is it that they picked us to start going on-chain versus the established blockchains like Solana and Ethereum and BNB chain and God knows what? Not even Canton. Why us? Because of what we said. We provide them end-to-end. We tell them that, listen, we are not just a technology. Yes, we are a great, fantastic technology. Touch wood, great, amazing. We're going to go EVM compatible, blah, blah, blah. But what we really tell them is that, listen, it's not just us telling you it's an SDK or it's a code and you do it yourself. We are not a DIY kind of a business. You don't do it yourself. You can do it with a Lego set, but not with creating an on-chain business, right? Handholding is very important. So this is my message to every fintech, everyone out there who's touching payments or investments in one way or the other. Talk to ZIG Markets. Talk to us.
For sure. And I think I'd just like to double click on some of the things that you said and what Philipp said. We have, I think, this distribution first approach. You could take any asset and tokenization is a line of code, right? You could just tokenize any asset.
Code basically, yeah.
You could put up a compliance structure around it and you could say, hey, this is a tokenized product. But if it does not find distribution, if it does not end up in people's wallets or in their investment accounts, it is of no use.
Yeah.
And I think that just going back to what you said, instead of trying to do it product first, if you do it demand first and then you structure it accordingly, that of course has a huge benefit. And I think any institution or operator that's interacting with ZIG Markets, they should, what we essentially abstract away from them is all of this risk of, hey, what is the technology? Would they fail by choosing the wrong technology, by choosing the wrong path, by choosing the wrong distribution channel?
Operational lift.
Operational lift,
Yeah.
all of those things get abstracted away.
Yeah.
So then really the only risk that you're carrying is the business risk itself.
Exactly.
That's true.
Which is what you should be worried about at the end of the day.
Exactly, like all the middle thing that you need to go to market should not be there. We are here for you. And
Exactly.
then we even saw that the AI engine that we work with, we saw it very clearly in the couple of things that we just recently working on rolling out. It was very interesting that it was not like, okay, you do this, we work with you. It was us pushing them back that, listen, your product actually has a very high competition, and what you are offering,
Exactly.
someone without all of this bells and whistles is offering better yield than you, so you would not get demand. So this kind of a feedback also is like, we are not a service company, we are not a BPO, not a software house, we are partners to them,
Exactly.
and we make sure that all of this benefit comes to ZIGChain. We are not just out there to create yet another for-profit company. We make sure that the others don't see it, that how the blockchain is getting, ultimately it's like payments. You today, if you send money from, let's say, Dubai to Argentina, what you would care about how fast it is and how, what's the FX rate, right? Yeah. Similarly for blockchain. I mean, if you are using, you would not care, right, in the payments that if it's SWIFT or RTGS or God knows what, right? What you care about is speed and cost. Similarly, in the blockchain, if you're using blockchain as an infrastructure for the investment products or for any other product, what you care about is getting the access and making the good money.
Exactly.
So this is where we come in. And it is very important for everyone to understand that why are we doing this? Again, we're not just doing this because, that it's the next thing to bring institutions on chain. Of course it is. But I think we want the control here. And I would go on to say that we want to own this category. Why? Because I have a genuine fear. That if we don't control this category, the others who are trying to do this, they're going to make this an elite capture. They're going to make this in a way where Wall Street wins only. We are the ones, and we are not like the messiahs of the world, but we have proven it through our concepts and through our ideology and through our products in the past, that we are the ones who will make sure that it's done in a way that is accessible to both. Beehive is a great example.
Exactly.
Abi Finance is a great example. Swissquote is a great example. Invoicement is a great example where we could have done that, tokenize it, take them to the LPs and forget the retail. But no, we went retail first.
I think it's an important point that you mentioned. It's there's obviously a bunch of folks right now looking at RWA, tokenization across the world, different forms, different flavors, different colors, but there's very little activity across emerging markets, which
Exactly.
for me is actually mind-boggling.
Absolutely.
Right? And this is why I got so excited by this company in the first place, where I believe that the opportunity for retail distribution really sits across emerging markets. And I'm really surprised to not have many more peers here in Dubai, across the region that are trying to do the same thing, because we're truly filling a need, not just on the supply side, which for us is, investment opportunities like Beehive, etc. There's a need that we're filling, but the accessibility piece, is massive.
Yeah.
And we're not just in terms of people, because a lot of the Western folks, and I come from Europe myself, would say, yes, it's a lot of people, but money is meaningless. I want to focus on the big balance sheets where the money sits, etc. And that's frankly what a lot of the other tokenization players are doing, right? But if you try to quantify opportunity actually across emerging markets, it starts becoming fairly interesting. So just as a little stat to refer to, would you guess how many accounts are open across Nubank and Revolut alone? 200 million in total.
Wow.
That's a big number, right? Wow. 200 million.
That's like 9th largest population in the world.
Correct. And then the kind of balance amount, or like AUM that they currently have, sits at around 110 billion US dollars.
Wow.
So just as a comparison, the DeFi space in total last year was 150 billion.
It's down to 70.
Yeah. And these are just two neobanks. And one in Brazil or South America, the other one sort of global but very European
native.
focus. And that's just like a big stat, I think, that I keep on thinking about in my head, just to quantify how big the opportunity is.
Absolutely.
Not just in DeFi distribution, but also across some of the traditional financial players that currently up until now couldn't offer these type of investment products to their customers because of regulatory constraint, technological constraint, access constraint. And we are now enabling that for them, right?
Absolutely.
And I think this is it's big news, man.
No, absolutely. So, in the end, I think while we wrap it up, our conversation, and obviously lot of conversations will be coming more open. I think as an organization, as a blockchain, we're gonna be more public. We're gonna be more engaging and all. But like really to sum it up, I think that this is a step change in how we operate. I think it took us some time, but I think we have now created our institutional relevance. We proved it once again by getting the right crowd in the room, by doing the things which are right, both to institutions and retail. I keep saying it again. I think I said it maybe 10 times in the last 1 hour, but it comes from the heart that if the retail is left out, if the masses are left out, there is no point. There is no point. We can go and set up a boutique investment bank. I think we can do that. It's not a big problem.
And the industry forgets about this.
Industry will forget about it, but it's not the case. We are here to make sure that the true vision of financial inclusion and access is actually there. We are the community's Trojan horse in the institutions.
As the Dutch would say, Anders,
yes,
very different.
Yeah, we are the Trojan horses, literally going in there and do it in a right way and make sure that this true evolution comes in where the access and the fairness is there. That is my core truth. What do you guys think? Like if I give you 10, 20 seconds each to say what are you looking like next year? Obviously, we'll do a lot of events between next year. We're gonna inshallah do even a bigger summit in Dubai, inshallah. But what are you gonna look forward for the next let's say 6 months?
Yeah, so I think on my part, very excited by where we are. We have live products and more are coming. I think for me, the next 6 months is all about scaling them and scaling a lot of this access. I come just like you from Pakistan, and one of the biggest, we were actually talking about that yesterday as well. While the rate of digitization has increased, but you could have a wallet, but there's still a dearth of opportunities that you could put your capital into. And I think really scaling all of this globally is what I perceive to be the biggest challenge, and something that I'm very excited about heading into the next year. We have gone from vision. We've had a lot of belief. We now have live products, and scale is next.
Philipp, your 30 seconds.
Wow. Okay.
No pressure.
Look, I think we've got some really exciting stuff cooking in the pipeline. We're starting to productize a lot of the conversations that we've been having. This is allowing us to really pull together all of the ecosystem players that have supported us over the last 12 months. And the products that we're bringing to market are extremely unique. I think it will be well received by the DeFi community because it kind of is the best of both worlds.
Absolutely.
So it's vaults underpinned with real cash flows, but traceable on the blockchain. So I think that's a nice little addition to the kind of contracting DeFi ecosystem right now. I think we've been getting a lot of positive feedback from that. So really, really excited about this. Another private credit opportunity that's coming to market as well, hopefully with a big name partner. Let's see. We're very close.
Inshallah.
And yeah, more to come. I think a few more retail-focused products as well that we've got on the table that we hopefully bring to a lot of people across emerging markets. So big business to be done, a lot of great people to be impacted. And if anyone wants to help us do all of that, please reach out.
Thank you very much, guys. I'll just summarize this. Today, instead of inviting someone else, I decided that, let's do it ourselves. And let's take this time and opportunity in this episode to explain what we are working on really. Sometimes it's hard to see from the outside, like I believe someone from ZIGChain, maybe Mustafa or Ahmed, someone gonna roll out a video or something to tell you guys that what went behind making sure that this summit happens. It's not easy. It borderline make you diabetic as well, you know? So like that's that. But beyond that, the magic is happening right in front of your eyes. And it's not just that we are just going to institutions and, you know, creating something out there. It's really not. It's just that the yield, the 99% of traditional finance yield and the returns on investment are there. Those rails are not gonna change unless you show them the better fabric out there. So a lot of initiatives we are working on, a lot of things, and we are not just saying things. You can see this yourself that the products that you can practically use right now, products like Oro and Valdora and Nava and, you know, Abhi Finance and all, DeFi and all that, they literally have become your gateway into institutional grade returns. You know, these things were not available unless you were well connected or had like a 7-digit number to deploy. I personally appreciate that opportunity, and I believe everyone will. And all of this will, help the network, help the blockchain. We will capture the value in it, and we will need all of your help in making sure that we don't let this generational opportunity slip past, and we don't let it become an elite capture only. And we make sure, inshallah, that this becomes a thing where people can in the future say that, you know, that ZIGChain made sure that they and their future generation got access to something which was just not there. And all of your help is obviously needed because nothing compounds alone. Thank you very much, everyone.